And so with us now in the studio, we have Nurudeen Abdallah, who would be joining us to have a conversation briefly on the topic, and then we'll also touch on our newspaper review as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we've had quite an interesting show this morning, and I would love to get your opinion on it. We started by opening up the phone lines. We've seen several reports through the course of the week where people have been talking about how the prices of food products are coming down. We also saw reports talking about the price of tomatoes and vegetables that are also coming down as well. So now we asked Nigerians if the cost of living is easing up, being that we're seeing food commodities coming down, and now we're seeing the whole GDP numbers talking about how it's getting better. There might be an ease when it comes to the cost of living. Let's start with that. In your thought and in your experience, would you say that things that go up in Nigeria come down? Would you say the cost of living is easing up for Nigerians at this point in time?
Yeah, but I think it's too early to celebrate. You know, we are just moving, we're still within the harvest period yet, you understand. So whether this crashes in the prices of foodstuff will be sustained is key. I think that's another problem. And on the other side, you know, yes, the price of food is coming down. Is it a seasonal thing? Or is it going to go up, particularly when the rain set in? But more importantly, what is the purchasing capacity of Nigerians? Look at the inflation, for instance. How many percent? More than 30%. So, you know, you have to analyze this thing, the purchasing capacity. Some of the states have started minimum wage. But even the federal government has not started yet, I think. Because I remember the FCT, was it last week, some of their workers are even going on strike.
Sure.
So it's a good development anyways, but the government and all its relevant agencies involved in this must ensure that there is sustainability. Because, you know, we saw some of these things in the past. When at the peak period of harvest of vegetables, tomatoes, you know, they come down. But immediately it passes. And another thing is lack of our value chain addition. If you are going to drive into Kano, for instance, if you go to the Kura area, a bag of tomato at the peak of the harvest, a basket of tomato, you know, the basket is more expensive, more relevant than the content itself. Why? Because people cannot preserve it. So the moment 1 month after, you know, it will go back to the price will go back to the rooftop. So maybe we have to go.
Yeah, something else that piqued my attention through all of this was the fact that, you know, certain tariffs have been removed from importation of certain commodities, food commodities, seeing that the borders are now open. But farmers, on the other hand, are kicking against it. I want to get your thoughts. Farmers, on the other hand, are kicking against it, saying that they have invested so much in agriculture and buying fertilizers and farming inputs to see the prices just crash or see them force sell due to the perishable goods they have. And they are also kicking against the fact that, you know, the borders are being open, which is going to hamper their own production, cheapen the cost of their goods, thereby making them run at a loss due to how expensive the bought price inputs. What is your take on all of these angles that are playing out?
I don't think the real farmers are complaining. The middlemen, the money bags. A month, about maybe 6 weeks ago, at the peak of the harvest, if you go to particularly in the hinterland here, I'm talking about Niger, Kaduna, you go to the remote villages during their market days, you will see people with bags of money buying up almost everything under the sun. Talking about grain, whatever, and they hold it. They are the people crying, actually not the farmers, the middlemen. They got their money from wherever and what if you. And unlike in the past, I was just discussing with somebody, say religiously, why will you hold maize, for instance, or even rice? Say, I know religiously, if you do soybeans cash crop, it's understandable. But they hold this thing up and now they are complaining. So the real farmers actually are not complaining. And it's a good development to a certain extent because you can't, if you look at it, a bag of rice was almost, the foreign rice was almost 140, 150. A local one was about 120 in some instances, even 130.
And I was
the diminishing power of purchase on the part of Nigerians. So opening up the border, exempting some of the, it's a good development to ease of the thing. When we reach an equilibrium, then the federal government can reassess the situation. But when people are hungry, the farmers that are producing rice, what is their incentive? And now they are selling almost 130 a local rice. And now they are complaining. They are not the one complaining. The money bags
are the ones complaining.
And
these money bags are also affecting the retailers, because we're also seeing, we had a caller who was so passionate about the attitude of Nigerian retailers. And they said an instance, they said when subsidy was removed, they didn't waste time to jack up prices, saying, oh, no, you know, we have it's new stock. But now that prices are dropping, they are claiming it's old stock and they still need to make their profits. What's your thought on the attitude of Nigerians towards the prices of things and wanting to exploit Nigerians?
Yes, some of them actually do that. But you know, there is a reason. For instance, when you have a shop and you buy, let's say, milk, maybe the wholesale price, let's say, was about 800, and the prices go up or something like that. When you are to sell, you look at a time, because of the way inflation fluctuates, they have to call what is the wholesale price of a tin of milk before you sell. Because by the time you sell the stock you have, the money is not enough to buy the same quantity. It's like going to Cotonou and get this Tukumbo cars. I have a friend. He bought a particular brand of car. He paid duty and whatever. He came here and he made about 350 to 400 profit margin. 2 weeks after, the same money he sold the car plus the profit cannot bring him the same brand of car to Nigeria again. Ooh. So these are some of the challenges these retailers face. But anyways, there is always out. Do unto others what you want others to do unto you.
Indeed. And also, you know, when it comes to the cost of production, some people who fault like bread sellers. Yeah, someone spoke about bread sellers, saying bread sellers are not dropping the cost of bread. Flour has dropped. I'm like, flour might have dropped, but sugar is high. Flour might have dropped, but petrol is high. Yeah. You know, electricity tariff is high. It all has a whole lot put together. Thank you so much for sharing your insights on that. But now let's go to why you're actually here. Stories that made it to the front pages of our dailies. Let's start off with, the culture of the house. Let's start off with Daily Trust newspaper there. Now, boldly on Daily Trust, at the top there you would see the new price reduction of Dangote petrol. We'll talk about that. But then Lagos Assembly crisis, Obasa Miranda claims speakership. Oust leader resumes, presides over plenary with 4 members. 36 legislators insist removed Speaker Gunn. Impasse betrayal of democracy, says Atiku. Still on Daily Trust, there, after 21 months, Buhari relocates from Daura to Kaduna. You find that on page 5. ACF, NACCIMA and CAC re-echo concerns over tax reform bills. You find that on page 3. Band B customers not paying high enough for electricity, says the minister. You find that on page 19. And on the picture there, that's Vice President Kashish Shettima with former President Muhammadu Buhari during his return to his Kaduna home yesterday. Now on Ramadan, Sultan urges traders to reduce food prices ahead of Ramadan. Those are the stories that made it to the front pages of Daily Trust newspaper. Do well to grab yourself a copy and keep yourself informed. Now let's take a look at Guardian. Guardian newspaper. Boldly there on Guardian. War against fake drugs. How systemic inefficiency, complicity, a multi-trillion naira illicit trade. All right. Still on Guardian. Chaos, confusion trail claims the Lagos Assembly speakership. That is at the bottom. Now let's go to the top left. Obasanjo, 7 ex-leaders seek debt relief for African countries. And Air Force investigates as officers kill 1, injures 2 in Kaduna. At Reps hearing, federal government rules out inheritance tax in reform bills. All right. NANS in action, aid demand release of kidnapped Benue varsity students. You find that on page 30. Mass wedding. Kebbi pays 54 million naira as bride price for 300 couples. All right. Statutory revenue rises by 622.1 billion naira as federal government state government, local governments share 1.7 trillion naira. You find that on page 3. And then still on tariff, federal government to review electricity tariff for band B and C customers, has subsidy hit 4 trillion naira. I hope the review would come with better electricity provision. What are the stories we have on The Guardian? Do well to grab yourself a copy and keep yourself informed. Now let's look at Punch. On Punch, I am loyal to Tinubu, but my actions are mine, says Obasa. Ex-speaker takes over assembly with 4 lawmakers. Miranda's fate uncertain. 36 lawmakers kick. All right. Still on Punch, at the top left, NLC shelves protest as subscribers welcome 35% tariff hike. I rejected 500 million naira gift during my mother's burial, says EFCC chair. Natasha threatens to expose Akpabio, has group petitions Senate. All right. Still on Punch, Sultan alerts Muslims on Moon, Bauchi, Kebbi schools shot. Driver handed Oyo copper to kidnappers, says sister. Nigerian passengers stranded in Togo after Air France flight diversion. You find that on page 27. Those are the stories that made it to the front page of The Punch. Do well to grab yourself a copy and keep yourself informed. Let's look at Nigerian Tribune. On Nigerian Tribune, still on the Lagos State House of Assembly, twist in Lagos House of Commotion. Obasa returns with security operatives, declares self-speaker, holds plenary with 4 members. 36 lawmakers say he stands removed, want APC leaders to communicate stands. Police withdraw and restore Miranda's security details. All right. Still on Tribune, there on the top left, federal government, state government, local government share 1.703 trillion naira for January. Anike Abajo Williams, Africa's first face on TV, dies at 88. Still on Nigerian Tribune, tax reform bills, no plan to reintroduce abolished inheritance taxes. Oyedele. Man LCCI call for favorable modifications for business. Onitsha community petitions IGP Soludo over ex-lawmakers kidnap death. And FG to review electricity tariff for band B and C customers. Those are the stories there that made it to the front pages of Nigerian Tribune and to the front pages of, all other papers we've had this morning. We're back to our guest who's been here in the studio with us. We have Nurudeen Abdallah, editor to the Century Chronicle. We'll be looking at the stories that made it to the papers. Thank you so much once again for sticking around.
Thank you for having me.
All right. The story that has been on the big story on the front page is the Lagos State House of Assembly, or like Tribune described it, Lagos State House of Commotion. What's your take on what has been playing out? We're seeing that Obasa is back, or they're saying self-imposed. We're seeing lawmakers kicking, having a sitting. What's your take on all that is playing out, and why Lagos State at this point in time?
I think what is happening in Lagos is a litmus test for President Tinubu. I think this is unprecedented since 1999, when he became governor for 8 years and ended his tenure and installed and dethroned almost all the governors that came after him. And secondly, it's a prize for now being a national leader. From 1999 to 2015, he played a state, or rather a regional politics. But now he's the president of Nigeria. So his concentration must have been diverted to other, maybe 20, apart from the governance project itself. We're talking about the 2027 project itself. In the past, he had to contend with just Lagos. So he was in full control. The GAC was under his beck and call. But now there seems to be implosion within the GAC. This thing did not happen. There was no such, at least, public division within the GAC when he wanted to remove or stop Ambodi. The GAC was unanimous in its rejection of Ambodi, which was an endorsement of Tinubu's policy. But with what happened now, yeah, Mudashiru Obasa, like one of the reports, you know, he has a streetwise, you know, he's extremely popular from a very strong constituency in Lagos, Agege one. And not only that, he's a veteran lawmaker, a politician. He's serving now his 6th time. 3 term as speaker. I think maybe one of the longest in the country. So these are the issues. Yeah, at the beginning, they thought that it would take a smooth sail, but it proved to be otherwise. Okay. And look at what is happening now when over 40 lawmakers are trying to defy the APC leadership in the state, in the region, and by extension, the presidency. So it's a price that the president has to pay by being the president now. He has 36 states, 36 confusion to tackle and what have you. But more importantly, now it is time for his political or rather democratic credentials are now being tested. How he handles the Lagos speakership tussle will go a long way in determining determining his democratic credentials. Look at what the opposition are saying.
But what do you see? How do you see this play out in the nearest future? Do you think Obasa has something under his sleeves that he's trying to achieve? How do you see this play out in the nearest future, especially for the governorship in Lagos State?
Tinubu, rather the APC in Lagos, which is by extension Tinubu, needs Obasa. Do you know why? By 2027, there will be transition. A new governor will emerge. So Obasa must be within the circle, or else, not necessarily he must be given the ticket. But if you are not with him, he can fight your candidates. And with what happened in 2023 is another indicator that the president, Tinubu, lost Lagos during the presidential election. They fought tooth and nail to bring back Ambode with the obedience, the afenefere planks and what have you. So having faction or factionalizing the Tinubu camp ahead of 2027 election is not good. He has to return Lagos. You understand?
Do you see him doing that?
And that's why, you know, he's stamping his feet now. Obasa, in the long run, will have his way. Yes. He has adjourned yesterday, Sinadai. He stormed the National Assembly. If you look at the timeline, when he was removed, we thought that it was okay. But later on, based on your report, you said that BC Akonde, who is almost the de facto chief of staff or chief advisor of the president, and all other big guys met, and Obasa was given security. Who will give Obasa security?
All right.
Do you understand?
And
he has adjusted that. So I think maybe they are pacifying the 40 other lawmakers to follow through, or they will lose their seat.
All right. Let's see. Lagos State is one to watch because it has a lot to hold for the president. But let's see it all play out. But let's now tilt to electricity. We saw that initially they came out to say, oh, there's going to be band A, band B, and band C. I am on band A. I was just upgraded to band A, and the pain I'm going through when it comes to paying for electricity tariff is alarming. Now they are now saying that, oh, band B and band C customers are paying less and would most likely, you know, we're seeing this. First of all, what is your take on all this band division? And now that it looks like it's going to be distributed evenly and everybody will be going through it.
The banding, if I may use that word, you know, became necessary because of our challenges, infrastructural, more importantly, because there are so many unmetered customers. And I remember in Kaduna when they first brought these prepaid meters, they installed the prepaid meters in areas that were not even paying for electricity. The villages around the eye center, Rigasa, what have you? I remember I paid 27,000 to be on the queue just to have the meter. Understand? So I don't know what are the NEPA people at that time. They installed them in areas that we are not even paying for electricity in the first place. So that's the problem. And now the banding became necessary because there are customers that are paying, particularly in the highbrow area, the industrial areas. So they have to be doing that cut and paste approach. So that, and this became necessary because of the pressure by TCN. You remember most of the discos, the distribution agencies, were debt-ridden. At the time, their power was even cut by TCN because they were owing Gencos billions and billions, you understand? So it became necessary. Yeah, supply power to somebody that is paying.
Okay.
And this not because of the bypass. But the gap, both in Kaduna and Abuja, I'm on buying A. The gap was just too much. This one is 200 and is it 4 or 6? That one was about 60 naira. And in some areas, the band B are equally getting, is it up to 18 hours?
Yeah.
Even though in some areas, it is not uniform. So I think maybe a small, I'm not protesting that the band A people need justice as well. So let them upgrade the band B a bit. But most importantly, let them fix the infrastructure.
The money should be used to make sure that people are getting what they are paying for.
Let me just give you one example. In Kaduna, where I stay, I used to stay in a bandless area before when I moved to the. My transformer had issue, I think around 3. I was working, I remember, 3:30. We had bam like this. Just subhanallah, what happened? Then in the past, you have to go and beg, mobilize money before the dawn prayer, before 4:35, they fix it.
Yeah.
We are off just for less than 30 minutes because we're in band A.
So with more money comes more electricity.
So let's
but you have
upgrade
to
the band B a bit.
to experience it. True indeed. True indeed. Now, war against fake drugs. This is one of the big stories on Guardian, and they are talking about how systemic inefficiency, complicity aid multi-trillion naira illicit drug trade. Fake drugs in Nigeria is becoming alarming. I mean, it's on the high side. I think the Akunyilis of a time found a way to nip it in the bud. Not long after that, we had a gospel artist who died of fake malaria drug in the country. What is your take on this war again? What would you say has bred it to this point where it's now becoming a big reportage in newspapers?
Apart from inefficiency of relevant government agencies, NAFDAC, maybe some standard organization. Poverty plays a role. People know that they are buying fake drug. Yes, it is not that they don't know. If you go to the remotest areas, they know that down the street, the corner shop down the street is being managed by a quack. But they have no option than to patronize him. He administers drugs, he does diagnosis. There is a bed, I don't know whether they do surgeries. Because they will tell you, if you have malaria, going to hospital is not an option. Going to a standard, not even pharmacy, I'm talking about local, yeah, is not PHC, normal drugstore on the street, maybe with some registration and what have you. You will need to spend at least 5K for a malaria, because you have headache, you are shivering, it must be malaria. Minimum 5,000 naira at that local state. And they don't have 5,000 naira. They administer drugs, you go, they administer IVs,
yeah.
And whatever, they have beds and whatever. So now they know that the guy down there is a quack. He can barely read, but they still patronize him, maybe with 1,000, 2,000. They can get cure or medication. People are patronizing fake drugs only because Not because they don't know, because they know, but they cannot afford the men. Look at malarial drugs, anti-malarial drugs. Look at diabetic and BP. I buy BP drugs from 4,000 weekly to now almost 23,000 naira. Just for 7 days. Just for 7 days. So these are the issues. So the poverty cause is so is bigger compared to other. And okay, look at it. Don't you see the proliferation of unorthodox, herbal, whatever?
Yes.
I don't know, maybe in the churches, but in democracies, clerics are now herbal doctors. You understand? And people patronize them.
Sure.
Educated people people that know the consequence because of economic reasons. Babang Aisha, all manner of kind of people, educated, 500 naira, or buy 2, buy 3, 300 naira. And it cures 30, and I listened to an educated people justifying it.
One shot cures 30 ailments in your body. So
it's a poverty mentality. We're so poor, and you know the thing has eaten deep into our psyche. It has eroded our educational even system. There was when a friend escorted me and we bought for a month, and you saw the money. Just go to you can easily. I said, Haba. What is the essence? We have gone to school. We should educate others. No, a friend has bought this thing and he was cured of diabetes. His BP has complete. I said, no. I'm not that. So NAFDAC, apart from arresting the syndicate and prosecuting them, they have to equally use maybe government agencies and what have you. But the problem is, I don't know the Christian part. In the mosques, this is where the fake drugs, the herbal drugs, herbal diabetic, what have you, are being advertised. So maybe we need to engage the religious leaders, even though some of them are even the perpetrators of this.
I believe the major problems should be to solve the core issue, which is poverty and lack of education.
Exactly.
Even if, poverty is actually the major cause. I heard someone say you can't afford to fall sick at this point in time in Nigeria because the cost of medication is alarming.
Exactly.
So, for most of us, I have tilted towards, instead of this cough to start, we finish with orange.
Briefly. If you are buying the normal paracetamol,
it's very
the big companies,
Yes.
In some places, in Kaduna, not Abuja, goes to about 400
per card, yes.
Per card. But there is that of 100 naira as I'm talking to you now.
All right. If we start, we won't finish on this today. So let's move on now quickly to the National Assembly. We've seen the back and forth between Natasha Akpoti and Akpabio. We also saw, Akpabio raising it to the ethics committee. They're talking about not knowing the rules of laws of the house and all that is playing out. Natasha and Akpabio's brawl didn't start today. We know that there have been that back spark between them that is not just agreeing, in the house. But now they're saying that Natasha threatens to expose Akpabio as group petitions Senate. We also saw her taking him to court for defamation. What is your take on this brawl? Would you say it's beyond what meets the eye?
So I don't know the advisors of Senator Natasha. He made the allegation in plenary. So you are going to court for a statement made by a lawmaker in plenary. You understand what I mean? So maybe when they say she's inexperienced in parliamentary things, maybe one may not be wrong. But more importantly, based on what transpired, she was wrong because she violated the rules of the Senate. Just like Akpabio did during the Saraki's era. But the difference here is this. Akpabio, after his outburst, he apologized. And they move on. Things sometimes with ladies. If she had done that, I think this thing must have been... The Senate has a way of solving its own internal squabbles and what have you. The difference, yes, there are videos of. I'm not a fan of Senator Akpabio, but the difference between his case during the Saraki's era and Natasha's now is after that outburst, he apologized, and the Senate moved on. But I don't think she did that. So I think it's not a court. You should be advised that it's not a court issue. You cannot be carrying the Senate matter to Berekete family or to all the. No, Senate issues should be tackled there. And a statement made in plenary. I'm not a lawyer, but I study media law. I've been covering the political space for more than a decade. So I don't know. Maybe he went to another Berekete family and made allegation against her. But allegation made in plenary, and you are carrying the matter to court. So let's see how that. But the Senate, there are elders in the Senate. There are people that have been there for 3 terms, or some who have been even in the House of Reps since 1999 or 2003. So they should, the Akpabio, the leadership should tap from their experience in resolving. But the gender, that's not the way to advance the inclusivity that.
And Nigerians are quick to pick on that, and they will pick on inclusivity. This is not how you talk to a lady and all of that drama. But it's the Senate, and it's still more like a public figure of the nation. And having this brawl going on in the Senate at this point in time doesn't speak well of our image. And we hope that that is going to be rectified as soon as possible. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for such a long talk we had this morning. It's always good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
In case you're just joining us, we're having a conversation with Nurudeen Abdallah, and we're talking about from the newspaper review to our discussion earlier. I hope you've been able to pick something from our conversation this morning. I hope we've been able to inform you, educate you one way or another, and keep you company and give you something to kick-start your day. So if you're going to your regular newspaper stand to converse on anything political, I hope you have something tangible to say this morning. Well, having said that, we've come to the end of Daybreak this morning. To all our callers who called in on the show this morning, who took their time out, used their credit to contribute to the show this morning, and those who sent us WhatsApp messages, we say a very big thank you. We do not take you for granted. At the top of the hour, we'll be having sports. We'll also have a business news, and we have the news updates. So still stick around on Trust TV. We'll have a lot packed for you. But on behalf of the production crew, my name is Lilian Ogazi. Thank you for sticking around, and bye for now.